Oregon going into Vegas, very interesting. Year 2 in the Big Ten. Year 1 is undefeated. Beat all the tough teams. Eke out a win at Wisconsin late. And celebrate yet an undefeated season.
Yeah.
Now, it didn't end the way they wanted it to end, but it was still a stellar first year, beating Penn State, Ohio State, at Wisconsin, and winning the conference. And everybody was wondering, you going to be able to do it in this conference? Well, year 1, they did. Dan Lanning's going to take the podium. We hear what he says about his team this year. There's a lot of uncertainty. I was looking at SP Plus stuff. Now, some of this, I'd love to talk to Conley and say, is there any part of SP Plus that you want to tweak because of the world of college football nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, how do you quantify what Dante Moore is going to be this year?
Well, you can't.
It's a very hard thing to do.
It's an impossibility because you can't even project what he was at UCLA because he had a full year of not playing at Oregon.
And he has a lot more talent around him than he did when he was at UCLA.
And you could argue better coaching. Will Stein's proven to be pretty good. Dan Lanning's been putting guys in good positions. Oregon's getting a lot of kids drafted in the NFL. I looked at SP Plus, though, and one model of Oregon, and you've highlighted this, is the returning talent.
Mm-hmm.
It's the third lowest percentage, I believe, on offense in the conference, and defensively, it's still a decent percentage as well. So there's a lot of uncertainty around Oregon. We had Josh Pate on of Late Kick with Josh Pate yesterday. You can catch that podcast at 1051thefan.com. Here was Josh Pate when asked about what is Oregon's season, how do we define success? Okay. Clip.
I don't need to sit here and chew my fingernails to the nubs wondering whether those offensive linemen are going to pan out, wondering whether Dante Moore is going to pan out. Now, you guys are up there, so you know as well as I do, you had a 5-star quarterback kind of check in and then check out recently. And I think he checked out because he got a load of Dante Moore and realized it's probably going to be a while before I see the field here. So I don't really doubt a lot of their pieces. I think it comes down to execution in big moments. That trip to Penn State early in the season is not going to be easy. Now, you may win that one and give yourself some breathing room, but I could just as easily see a situation where they lose that one and then have to play back against the wall, sort of wounded animal mode the rest of the year, which I don't think is the worst thing in the world for a team, by the way. They could win the league again this year, be a 1 seed. They could also do what Ohio State did last year and have a few blemishes along the way, but then peak at the right time and win a national title. They'll be within reach. That's the most important thing to me.
So just give yourself a chance is basically what he is saying.
And it's one of the biggest things that I think is a calling card of an elite program, and this is the year that I feel like solidifies that for Dan Lanning. Like a year ago, we were having the same debate about how do they replace fill in the blank. Bucky Irvin, number 1 running back, gone. Troy Franklin, number 1 wide receiver, gone. Half of your starting line, gone. Bo Nix, Heisman finalist at quarterback, gone. Half of your starting defense, gone. And that was the talking point going into the Big Ten is how is Oregon going to replace all of this? And they went out and they went 13-0. And the season didn't end the way that they wanted to, and that was depressing for Duck fans. But you're still proud of the year that you had, and clearly Lanning has gotten to them to the point as of last year where there's no reloading, there's no rebuilding, there's no swoons. Like, you're going to have some years that might be better than others, but there's no falling off of where you're at because you're recruiting and bringing in talent at such a high level. And now we're doing the same thing. Tez Johnson gone, your top running back. Jordan James gone. Terrence Ferguson at tight end gone. Half your offensive line is gone again. Basically, your entire starting defense outside of like 3 guys is gone. Like, they are replacing so many figures. We don't know when Evan Stewart's going to be back, but when you recruit at such a high level like he has, there's no down years. You're just filling in spots with other blue chip recruits, which is what he's been stockpiling for the last couple of seasons. This year is a bigger question mark because the quarterback is a bigger question mark. Dylan Gabriel was coming in as a known commodity, and that gave you a little bit of hope as a Duck fan. So that, to me, continues to be the biggest question mark. But if Oregon finds their way back into the mix again this year, I think they've officially reached that status where you're just on cruise control and you're going to be in the mix every year, no matter who comes and who goes, because you're recruiting at that high of a level and you're acquiring talent at that high of a level.
So is I guess I'll ask this then, the cruise control thing, right? Like,
in one of the years, if you're there long enough, this is an example I use in majors and golf. If you give yourself enough chances, to Pate's point, like, eventually you'll do it. Xander Schauffele was this. He's always in the top 10, but he can't win the big one. It's like, yeah, but If you're there in the mix that many times, one round you're going to have a good round, or somebody's going to blow up, or you're going to make a birdie, and eventually it'll break your way. That's the beauty of college football. If you're in the fight every year, Ohio State's been this with Ryan Day. Every year they're in it, didn't win it, can't win it, can't win it, can't. And then last year, all of a sudden, what happens? You win it.
So giving yourself that, are you on cruise control, to your point, is largely like, as long as you're in the mix, that's all you need, right? Whether you're the best team or you're considered the least team, I guess, of the group, being in the mix is in the mix. We've seen wildcard teams. We watched Ohio State win the title last year. But, what about the years if you don't make it? Or is that expectation erased?
I think in a 12-team playoff era, the goal every year is to make the playoff.
Right, but 9-3, unless, Clemson, I think, wasn't Clemson a 3-loss team last year, and they made it because they won the ACC, right?
Clemson might have been a 4-loss team last year, but I know they for sure at least lost 3 games.
They were 9-3.
But they won their conference, so they got an automatic bid into the playoff.
So they beat SMU in the ACC title game on the field goal. The 9-3 season, though, and I can't speak to the future models of that stuff. That'll work itself out.
Yeah, is that good enough to get in
but
this year?
But 9-3 this year, I doubt gets you in, right?
I mean, probably not, but you never know. We debated 9-3 teams last year. Alabama was in the debate at the end of the season. South Carolina was in the debate at the end of the season. So it was a legitimate debate. How does the rest of sport look? It's hard to answer.
I know injuries play
They
a
were
part.
9-3 last year, by the way.
Thank you. I know injuries do play a part in football. We all are aware of that. If injuries don't happen, though, and you're 9-3 and don't make the playoff, what is the thought? I'm just curious.
I mean, I would say it's a slightly disappointing season, for sure. I also don't think that's falling off of a cliff. I think 9-3 being your low water mark is a hell of a spot for the program to be in. I think what I'm talking about with cruise control is we're going through the same debate and talking points this offseason that we did last year. All I heard last offseason was, how are you going to replace Jackson Paris Johnson and Bucky Irving and all the names that they lost to the NFL? 2 years ago, Oregon set a program record sending guys into the National Football League, and they followed it up after asking how do they replace all that by going 13-0. And so I'm just saying, if they do it again this year, that's my large. I'm not arguing that Oregon's there. I think they're going to have a very good year this year. But again, quarterback play is a major wild card for them. If they do it again this year, let's say they go 10-2, slight trip up at Penn State.
You're not as concerned about the replacements.
To me,
right?
It's just this is we got to stop doing this. We do this with Georgia and Bama every year. They lost 10 guys in the NFL. What are they next year? They're great because they replace them with 5-star recruits. And Oregon has acquired talent at a higher level in the last handful of years than they ever had in the history of the program. So that's my larger point of cruise control. If they go 10-2 or 11-1 this year, hell, if they win the Big Ten this year, after all that they lost with the question marks at quarterback, I hope we get to a point next offseason where it's like, man, but how are they going to replace Evan Stewart? Kenyon Sadiq's going to the NFL. How are they going to replace him? Do we do this every year and they find a way to replace those guys?